Episode 1. The House. Inhale. Exhale. Slow, steady, confident. A careful flick of the wrist. Slightly higher, a little more. Ugh. With an exasperated snort, Nova picked up the thick book that was flying in the air just moments ago, supported by her spell. She managed to hold it there for less than a minute. Not that terrible of a result, and definitely longer than her previous personal record, but she wasn't completely satisfied. Nova wiped the sweat off her forehead, then dusted off the cover. Basics of Levitation for Witches with Other Types of Presence by P. Gomez. Either you're not that good of a teacher, Signore Gomez, or levitation just isn't my thing. I should ask Vesper. Maybe she'll see what exactly I'm doing wrong. Right now, keep practicing. She'd already thoroughly studied the theoretical material, so instead of going back to reading, she placed the book on the floor, took a couple steps back, and cast the spell. After 4 more rather pathetic attempts, Nova realized her thoughts were elsewhere, and practicing magic in that state was pretty much pointless. Settling on the bench, she looked around. It hadn't been long since the sun rose, and this place had felt strangely unfamiliar and detached. The rays carried no warmth, piercing through the branches first, seeking refuge behind the heavy clouds as if abashed. The air smelled cool, cheerful, birdsong drifted in softly from the grove nearby. What an idyllic place. When Lucien said we could stay at his mansion in France, I was expecting something different. Something darker and more mysterious. The house was old, but it was well looked after. The owner himself barely spent any time in it, too busy with his affairs in Italy. I should take a proper look around. I was so exhausted yesterday I don't even remember how I got into bed. The last month has been going by so fast. Sometimes I feel like I hardly have time to breathe. A whole month. Only a month since Renato's... Nova swallowed. She had the sudden urge to talk to him about anything, silly little things. She shook her head, biting her lower lip. Shouldn't think about it. Just then, Nova felt her familiar approaching. Onyx jumped onto the veranda, the dewdrops glistening on her black fur made it clear she was returning from a morning walk. Aye. The witch leaned down and extended her hand with a smile. Onyx was instantly by her side, nuzzling her head into Nova's hand, ready to accept her attention with a contented purr. Soon, that alone wasn't enough for Onyx. The anamorphix climbed onto the catcher's lap and started kneading her with her paws. Hey, your fur's all wet. Your claws might ruin my... Oof. Sorry. Instincts. Better now? Nova chuckled, rolling her eyes in mock annoyance. Onyx swayed much more in her human form, but even so it was easy to hold her like this. Onyx wrapped her arms around the other woman and ran her nose against her neck, so warm and gentle. Nova exhaled, her fingers running through Onyx's hair to stroke behind her cat ears. That had become a habit. Soon the catcher's legs began to go numb, and Onyx reluctantly got off her, sitting on the bench. How are you? Got some rest after the trip? Yeah, more or less. Crossing the border in a cheese truck was quite an adventure. What kind of cheese we talking? I think I still smell of Parmesan. I'll accept. A low price for getting into France. I think it took a very long time for Vesper to arrange this. No changes in the plans, right? She's gonna be here today? She should be. Shin will arrive in the afternoon, Vesper in the evening. Lucien didn't specify when he'd be back, but he's keeping in touch with Vesper. Hopefully we'll be done here soon. I can't afford to be away for too long. Because of Mom? Yes. My brother knows I left, and I will check on her on my days, but his patience won't last. Onyx didn't like to talk about her family, so Nova wasn't aware of much. She wouldn't push, knowing Onyx would share if she wanted to when the time came. Nova squeezed her hand, trying to show her support. Have you had breakfast? Not yet. Want to go cook something? I don't exactly trust your food preferences. Don't worry, I wouldn't feed you mice. Nova was about to reply, but got distracted when she heard some rustling on the other side of the veranda. It's Dallas. And we have outfit choice for him. We have, in his new outfit, the Dead Ravens. I kind of dig it. In an amazing outfit. In his usual outfit. I mean, it kind of shows off his tattoos. Hold on, let's see. I'll accept this one. Other one's not too bad either, but... The Dead Ravens. Did someone say mice? Talus, what are you doing here? I came for the mission, of course. Vesper accepted you into the Alliance? Yes. It looks like she finally realized how useful it can be having a Raven on the team. Nova and Onyx rose from the bench as Talus came closer. Great news! 9 times this happened. All three exchanged sheepish glances. They had a couple of awkward conversations about their feelings, which, when it became clear that their affections were mutual in all directions. However, they agreed not to rush into things, realizing their situation required caution. That was the reason they never went beyond hugs and innocent touches. At least, for now. Noticing the way Onyx was smiling at Talus, Nova realized once again how glad she was that they chose this measured pace. In moments like this, she enjoyed watching the tenderness her partners shared for each other, yet couldn't help but feel a tingle of jealousy at the same time. It was an interesting feeling. As if hearing her thoughts, Talus broke the silence. He touched the catcher's wrist with one hand and Onyx's fingers with the other. Were you going to eat? Let me make you breakfast. You don't like cooking. I don't, but for you. Thanks for the offer. Let's go to the kitchen. Ta-da! We have crepes. Admire. Wow, I feel like I'm in a restaurant. Onyx wasted no time on compliments, already putting the first bite in her mouth. Smiling, Talus shook his head at her and then turned to the catcher. I found some raspberry jam. Want some? Yes, please. She put the jam on her crepes, and the simple gesture made something flutter in the woman's chest. I'm not used to being taken care of like this. It's very nice. You forgot about me. I'm sorry, what? Huh? Chew your food first, silly. You'll choke. Swallowing her food, Onyx repeated. I said you forgot about me. I want some jam, too. With what? You've already eaten all your crepes. Nova will share hers. The catcher shielded her plate with her hands. Oh, nuh-uh. Just because I'm ready to share a partner with you, it does not mean I'll... Nova froze when Onyx suddenly leaned in from her chair, her warm breath touching her neck. Pretty please, just a small piece. Those are forbidden techniques, Onyx. Tone down your charm before she swoons. On the other side, Talus weightlessly ran his fingers over the skin behind the Witcher's ear, drawing closer as if he couldn't resist. Now that the two of them were so close, Nova could no longer care about her breakfast, nor anything else for that matter. She closed her eyes, reaching for both of them. Suddenly, the dining room was shaken by the chime of the clock. All three of them jumped in their chairs, exchanging shocked glances before bursting into laughter. There are more crepes in the kitchen. I'll go get them. Yay! The rest of the breakfast passed in quiet conversation. Oh, I almost forgot. I have something for you. Talus took something out of his pocket. First, he handed a small object to Onyx and then to the catcher. Oh, wow. A treasure Talus gave you. That's nice. A pendant from Talus has been added to the wardrobe. I don't know what kind of stones these are. I doubt they are precious. I found them in the stream. I made these pendants. My dude is multi-talented. Onyx pressed the gift to her heart with a happy smile. You made these. Oh, I love it. Nova was speechless for a moment. They are beautiful, Talus. Thank you. Yes, thank you. You're welcome. They hugged. As much as they wanted to spend the day together, there was much to attend to before the others arrived. That evening, like the candelabra, or candelabra as some say, finally, Shin, who had just teleported in, ignored the remark. He crossed the dining room in a couple of long strides, brushing raindrops off his coat, and sat down on an empty chair. Wet shoes on the carpet. Sincerest apologies, your vampire highness. With a wave of his hand, he used a spell to get rid of the stains on the carpet. We were getting worried. Is everything okay? Those guys were idiots. They were going to have me cross the border with a rabbit's foot. A fucking rabbit's foot. I don't know much about amulets, but isn't it supposed to bring good luck? Silly tales that some people still believe in, for some reason. A rabbit's foot remains just at that. A rabbit's foot, even if it was cut off from a living animal with presence, during some special phase of the moon while casting non-existent spells. I'm sorry, Shin. They came highly recommended. Charged a decent fee, too. Well, make sure they don't let anyone down like that again. It's fine. I got here in the end. That's a relief. We're all here. Absolutely. I suppose we can start? Vesper nodded. Our goal remains vague. We haven't been able to narrow down the search, so we'll keep looking wherever we can. Let's start with Catherine's main residences. We'll take a different approach with each one. To optimize the process, we'll split up into pairs. Vesper went on to describe the plan she'd made. They spent the next few hours discussing their roles in the search. Nova rubbed her eyes, leaning back on her chair. She felt like her brain was overheating. What about the residences that no longer exist? Nova remembered which ones no longer existed. Saint Maur, Tulieris, and Hotel des Soissons. Vesper shrugged with a heavy sigh. I don't know. There's obviously no way we can access them, and you can't, but I could. Maybe. Everyone immediately turned over. There was no doubt or distrust in their eyes, only admiration and willingness to listen. I've been practicing, exploring my presence after everything that happened in the Vatican. I have a better understanding of it. I have experience from looking into the past at Raphael's painting. You can't really compare looking at the history of a small object to the reconstruction of an entire place as it was once or more than 4 centuries ago, but I could at least try. Wow, I forgot how amazing your gift is, and how well you can handle it. I don't, because I owe it my life. That's a good idea. Let's explore that. Thank you, Nova. They continued working, taking notes and assigning responsibilities. Shin and Lucian, you'll start with, Shinoseria. Onyx, Talix, I need you to do some recon. Chateau de Saint-Germain-en-Laye. I couldn't find any information on their security. Nova and I will go to Blois. If we don't find anything, we'll go further down the list of residences. I think that's it for tonight. Try to get some rest. We've got a lot of work to do. Since it was late, everyone dispersed to their rooms. Me over here trying to read fluent French. A week later. The air in the mansion's winter garden was infused with the scent of plants, so rich that it almost was overwhelming. Sneezing, Nova cracked open the window. The scent of the damp earth after the rain slowly settled in, and as that calming freshness mingled with the sweetness, it became easier to breathe. She came here hoping to clear her mind and calm her worries. Many days had passed since they started the search, but it had been fruitless. Nothing in Blois, nothing in Shinosia, and yet they couldn't really cross them off the list. The palaces were gigantic. It felt like they were looking for a needle in a haystack. Time didn't wait for them, relentless and different. The news was filled with reports of arrests, clashes, protests. The Magistrum increased his presence on the streets, and people in the magical community advised each other not to leave their home unless absolutely necessary. The atmosphere was growing tense all across Europe, especially in Italy. It was only a matter of time before their tension reached its breaking point. Without an advantage, others couldn't prevail. Even if Vesper had some kind of secret weapon, there were too few of them. They needed the source. As soon as possible. Blinking, Nova emerged from her thoughts, walked deeper into the garden. When a large leaf brushed against her, she dusted herself off, making sure it didn't stain her clothing. Doubt, opportunity, confidence, knowledge, conviction. Come on, why you gotta put the most expensive outfit and the nicest looking one at the end? Come on now, it's 55. Knowledge. Does her nails? Yeah, her nails change with the outfits too. I like that. I like that attention to detail. I really do. Huh. And then this is just the regular outfit. Just normal nails. I like this one. It kind of goes with her hair. Why not? Plus, listen, I have all this new content to cover. We only have so many diamonds. All good. Don't you change my hair. Let's just take a look at what we have, though. Oh, that's kind of pretty. That is kind of pretty. It keeps the color scheme. Oh, I like that. That's pretty, too. RC has upped its hairstyle choices, but I'm going to keep the current one. No accessories. Thin frame. Piercing. Piercing and glasses. Really surprised Talus's necklace isn't an option, even though we already have it. Hold on, let me see. Ah, we can't see it in this outfit. Just FYI, just to show you guys. But I will equip it all the less, just in case he somehow senses it or sees it. All good. The brightness of the flowers in the garden seemed exaggerated, almost unnatural against the gray of the world outside. So many exotic plants. They're probably not easy to take care of. Her fingertips reached for the velvet petals, but she froze as a deep voice sounded behind her. I wouldn't touch them. They look like oleander, and oleander is poisonous. Oh, I hadn't thought of that. Nova lowered a hand and turned to Shin, who was standing a few steps away. I didn't know you were a toxic flowers expert. I restock herbs and plants for Hori, so some knowledge stays about them with me. I couldn't compare to herbalists, of course, but still. He looked around, squinting. There are at least 4 poisonous species here. Wonder why Lucian would grow them. Because they kind of are a reflection of him. Beautiful on the outside, wonderful fragrant smell, but yet deadly otherwise. Well, it's not like it can hurt him. He likes beautiful things, and these are beautiful. Shin didn't continue the conversation, but settled into one of the chairs. Ask how he's feeling. How are you? He shrugged. Fine. Are you and Vesper going to check out that column tonight? The medical, or Medici column. Yes, the one structure that remains from the Hotel des Soissons. I'm not getting my hopes up, but who knows, maybe we'll get lucky and find something. The conversation didn't take off. I could do something more useful than admire flowers while I'm waiting for Vesper. Maybe I should read. She was about to say goodbye, but her attention was distracted by what appeared to be a small piece of paper lying down on the floor. Is that yours? Following the direction of her gaze, Shin checked his coat pocket. Not finding what he was looking for there, he visibly tense stood up and picked up the piece of paper. Is everything okay? Yes. Unsatisfied with such a short answer, Nova tilted her head to the side. What could it be? Looks like a photograph. I'm curious, but we're not that close. I don't think he'll want to share. Then again, diamonds. Then again, it doesn't hurt to ask. Ask Shen about the photograph. Shen. Before she could say anything else, Shin handed her the photo. Wow, that's an old one. That's pretty cool, though. Yulan, Mateo, and Sephira. Sister, best friend, and familiar. He was staring blankly into space, his voice even detached, as if his thoughts were no longer here in the world. They're probably dead. I mentioned I took part in the protests in '88. Black September. I was in charge of one of the other groups. Yulan and Mateo were working with me. The Magisterium dispersed the demonstrations, even though they were peaceful, but we weren't giving up. In the end, we decided to gather at Exidra. We thought that if there were a lot of us, it would make them listen. And if not, we were ready to fight. Which was naive and stupid. But that's what we were. Young, naive, and stupid. Still, I don't think any of us truly understand what it would be like to face the Magisterium. Get back to the column. Young Shin. We were in the middle of a battle. I saw our people being killed, taken away. I myself was killing people. And then I heard her scream from the other side of the square. Yulan, no! She was fighting back, but by the time we got close enough, they put the cuffs on her wrists so she could no longer access her presence. Oh, it's your ass. One more step and I'll blow her brains out. He was holding a gun to her temple. I froze, trying to find a way out. Just try to touch her. Mateo always acted first and thought second. Sometimes it helped, but more often than not it caused trouble. He rushed to save my sister, and naturally also got captured and deprived of the opportunity to use magic. Shinzin, right? Oh, I have heard a lot about you. Peter Grigorev. I have a proposal. Yulan jerked. He had his arm around her neck, so she tried to bite him, but he didn't care. Your sister and friend, in exchange for the coordinates of your base of operations. I don't. Spill! This place was where we stored all of our documents, artifacts, tinkers, and operation plans. Everything we had. Everything we'd been working on for so long. Information about everyone involved. Don't you dare, Shin. Do you hear me? Don't you dare. I was elected leader. Hundreds of people trusted me. Hundreds of our people. They can't find it. I looked into Yulan's eyes and Mateo's. I had to choose. My sister, best friend, or the cause. Their lives were the lives of those who would be put in danger if the Magisterium revealed our secrets. It looks like he needs some extra motivation. He pulled the trigger without even turning his head. Right into Mateo's forehead. Yulan screamed, but I couldn't. I stood there watching the blood flow from his head. I didn't give away where our base was. And Grigorev? Yes. Both Yulan and Sephira. She came to protect me. He swallowed hard. I was hoping he'd kill me too. I was almost sure he would. But instead I was arrested, tortured. They wanted the coordinates and names. Shen ran his finger over the cuff of his coat. An acquaintance of mine managed to take it off my sister's corpse and escape from the square. He kept it safe, and when Vesper got me out of prison, he gave it to me. I used to make fun of Yolande because she refused to stop wearing this coat, even though it's 3 times her size. She'd pout at me all the time. Ashamed of his tears, Shen wiped them away before they could fall. It seems this has been a long burden on his heart. Maybe he suddenly wanted to talk about it, and I just happened to be there. I'm sorry, Shen. He shook his head, staring at his hands. Yes, thank you. In the awkward silence that followed, Nova finally found what to say. I know we aren't friends, but I hope you feel a little better. It isn't easy carrying a heavy weight like this. I would know. She quickly touched his shoulder to express her support. I'll give you some space. She had nodded goodbye, and she left the winter garden. It's high. She clenched her face, trying not to look down. Paris was striking in its beauty, but it was very difficult to truly appreciate the view from the top of the Medici column, with no fence and a strong wind. I'm scared. I am, because I remember what it was like hanging in the edge of a roof, but I'm still having nightmares about it. Even if I am, it's just a little bit. Nova tried to appear carefree. I've had to face things far scarier than heights, so... Fair. It's not that easy to frighten you now. Alright, what do we have here? The Medici column. Catherine commissioned it. It was part of... Chateau de la... No, I think it was the Hotel des Sansons, right? Please be right. Yes, okay. The palace itself was demolished in the middle of the 18th century. Yes, I remember. They both looked up at the metal beams. There used to be a dome here, an observatory. Catherine had built specifically for an astrologer named Casimir Rougier. He was rumored to be an other too, by the way. Too bad there's nothing left of that observatory. Placing her hands on her hips, Vesper looked at the catcher. Are you sure about this? Yes, I am. Do you have everything in case I get clutched? Of course. Okay. Nova shook her hands, concentrating on the sensations in her chest. She felt the brilliance of her presence, its impatience. It was ready. Part of the conduit's power was hiding somewhere deep inside and wouldn't activate whenever she used magic. The catcher had yet to figure out how she could use it, but now was not the time for that, anyway. Let's see. Fata Morgana's veil dissolved, letting her into its domain. The space was humming, trembling, waiting for her actions. Curves, straight lines, same principle. However, that many objects surrounding her, there were many more spikes than she would have liked. I don't even know how to find the years I need. I'll have to check randomly and then rewind. Nova dove in. Paris looked like it had gone crazy. Everything was changing. Buildings, trees, times of days, years. Her vision became blurry. The longer she stayed in Fata Morgana, the more pressure she felt. Finally. Blinding yellow light for once. She found what she was looking for. By that point, she was so nauseous that it seemed she was about to lose control. Sinking onto the floor, Nova tried to catch her breath. She was swearing, feeling as if she had a heavy stone on her chest. Still, she wasn't giving up. She got up, gathering her strength. The interior of the observatory became unclear for a moment, but she didn't let the vision go, channeling all of her presence into maintaining it. The 16th century. Wow. I wish I could stay here longer, look at everything closely. But I need to focus and search for clues before I get thrown out. Except I don't even know what it is I need to find, and I can't risk touching anything. Nova started walking slowly around the room, so many papers and tools, artifacts, she couldn't decide where to look. I'll examine... the piece of paper on the window, the armory spare, bookshelves, a table. Let's go with the piece of paper on the window. What's this? The woman went up to the window. There was a single sheet of paper hanging. The glass is meant to provide a clear view of the sky. That's the whole point of the observatory. Why block it like that? On the paper, someone drew a circle divided into zones with symbols and numbers. There was a name in the center. Henry II, that's... Oh, shit. Nonny? I don't want to say brother. I don't want to say husband. Wait, no, it might be husband. Alright, I feel like husband. Nephew, no. Yeah, let's risk it. Risk it for the biscuit. The King of France. This looks like his birth chart. There's another inscription here. The ink seems different. I'm lucky it's in Italian. We were always three. His love and wife in one house. The house shall guard. Huh. Nova frowned at the text until she finally realized the meaning of the words. The house will guard. Guard what? She felt that she was being pulled back. Time's patience was wearing thin. The present demanded her return. Nova held her breath, memorizing the characters and numbers. In a few moments, Fata Morgana spat her back out. At least you're getting better at your abilities. Her legs gave out and the Catra collapsed to her knees. Nova! Vesper was immediately by her side, offering a tincture. Nova accepted, but her hands were trembling so violently the vial slipped from her fingers, shattering against the ground. Hold on, I have more. The sounds of clinking glass echoed from the bag as she searched for another tincture. Vesper, come on. Clutching her stomach, she barely managed to suppress the urge to vomit. Swearing under her breath, Vesper finally handed her a new vial. Nova downed it in one go and leaned back to catch her breath, but the turmoil in her stomach persisted. What was that? Dragonhead in lavender. I don't do well with Dragonhead. And you didn't think to tell me? Sorry. Well, don't move now. Hopefully you'll feel better soon. No, I need to write something down before I forget. Is this something you saw? Yes. Then there's no need. I'll teach you to summon a projection of your memories. Vesper sat down nearby. You aren't going to ask what I found. I will later when you come to your senses. Even though you're going to teach her a projection ability right here and now. When Nova recovered, the women returned to Lucien's mansion. Muffled voices were coming from the dining room, but the Catcher couldn't make out whom they belonged to. Opening the door, she hurried to share the news. We found some... Nova, someone's here to see you. Her throat went dry and her body felt like it was made of lead. Sitting at the table, looking at her was... Drum roll, I'm gonna go with Renato. Yep, okay, so he didn't die. Listen, I already spent like a lot of diamonds. I spent like 200 on this episode. You get 5 though, it's not... Well, you get 4. We'll talk about it here in a second. Let's get those diamonds, speaking of which. Alright, so we got 2 sun, 2 moon, 3 status, power none, and we got our 3 diamonds. Hold on. Alright, so it looks like episode 2 is readily available. So without further ado, first and foremost, before we get into why I only gave them 4 out of 5 stars and other thoughts, first and foremost, if you did enjoy the content, like, share, and subscribe. It'd be greatly appreciated. Especially, a lot of you aren't able to, do the whole diamond thing and not do all of it. Or maybe you, didn't get a choice that I did or whatnot. Anyway, it doesn't really matter, but hey, I'm the only content creator out of 8 billion people on this planet that literally and figuratively not just covers this, but also reads it, and I try and do the best voicing possibilities that I can, that I believe that you guys will enjoy. But aside from that, let's get to it. So first and foremost, a few months passed, but here we are. We're talking about have the ability to be a time catcher, and we're someone who is also. I have by the way, a theoretical thing for you guys. So a theory for where this is going, but we'll get to that here in a second, and I might spoil things if I'm correct. But, so, first and foremost, we're a time catcher. The first episode was a little short and sweet, but short. And also, let me just, before I put my foot in my mouth, no. The next episode will not release until January. So yes, it was very short and sweet for only one episode. So do keep that in mind. But we were told at the end of season 2 that Renato was dying, and all of a sudden he was saved. So I'm sure that we'll go into season 3, and there'll be a who, what, when, where, why. So I'm hoping. Really, we could have had that during this episode, right? And at least started catching up to him. Maybe opted into that option for, what happened. But aside from that, here's my criticism. It was just short and sweet. Again, months went by. We don't know what happened. We don't know who, what, when, where. I did like the little Shin story, right? It wasn't too bad. But aside from that, it was just really short and sweet. And there was some missing details. Again, please don't rush this, right? You guys had a couple months to come up with season 3, just episode 1, and it just feels like they kind of rushed it. And then also, like, here's my theory, okay? Here's my theory. We're a time catcher. So, the source, so this is my understanding of magic. Whenever you use magic, and whether this be from whatever, but I'm talking about like real magic, not like HP or whatever types of movies. Like the long since you can remember of like magic ever being introduced to storytelling, there's always been a source, right? It depends, but a lot of people pull from nature. A lot of people pull from like an energy source that's not visible, but everything is interconnected. Now, if you remember, our time catcher kind of has a really strong connection to that. And that's kind of what Fata Morgana is. Then there was also the person we met while in the time thing. Then there was also the fact that we have a piece of this presence. And again, I feel like these are building blocks or a roadmap for us being connected to the source and us inundatedly being able to even maybe go back and see the source ourselves once we're able to figure that out. So for instance, like me, I'm a person that goes out in nature a lot, right? Not so much as I used to, but quite a bit. And like, you can literally stick me, like, I don't need a phone. I know passively, physically, mentally, whatever you want to call it, I can know which way is north. And I know which the other directions are based off of that indication. And so, I don't need a phone, especially, like, I can travel hundreds of miles on a bike or whatnot, and I can know how to get home without needing a bike. Not even kidding. And it's not memorizing, because I hate roads, right, and the names of roads. So, I just know indelibly how to do it. So I'm feeling like eventually, because of how strong she is, she's got a piece of the presence, yada, yada, yada. I feel like that's how this will wrap up, because also it kind of does give it away, if you think about it. When you're loading in to the episode 3, or, well, excuse me, book 3, episode 1, that whole, she has like this giant woven yellow beam of energy in front of her and whatnot, and she's looking towards it. I feel like that also sealed my theory, and I've been thinking about this lately, especially as I've been caught up to this now. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts down below. I always love to hear you guys, what you think and whatnot, and what your theories. But let me know your thoughts down below. Aside from that, hopefully, again, did you enjoy? Let me know. But hopefully you did. I'll catch y'all later. Peace out.